Hey, welcome everybody to another NCSC Sales Leaders Perspective. My name is Scott Inks. I'm the Executive Director of the National Collegiate Sales Competition, also Executive Director at the Center for Professional Selling at Kennesaw State University. And the goal of these sessions here, these podcasts, is to do a couple things. One is to kind of share an overview of Gartner for sales leaders, for the competitors, but also for our industry sponsors to kind of get a look at some of the tools and capabilities that Gartner has to offer. And we're happy to be joined by Andy Clement, who is an executive partner at Gartner and has years of experience with Gartner and also in sales leadership at Kimberly-Clark. He's going to share with us a little bit about the Gartner tools. So, Andy, welcome.
Scott, thanks for having me back.
I think, Andy, if we can go through, got that the tool sheet, and we'll just kind of go around the board. If you can just kind of give us an overview of the tool, what the issue is that it solves, how organizations use it, kind of what do they have to put into the tool, and then what do they get out of it? That would.
Yeah, no, I mean, first and foremost, having been a head of B2B sales for many years, having quantitative diagnostics can be very valuable, right? You have lots of qualitative feedback from your sales team, from your customers. Mm-hmm. That's valuable too, but to actually have the data that Gartner provides in a lot of these tools that we're going to talk about really helps you make better, more factual decisions quicker, from my experience. And so there's really 5 diagnostics we're going to quickly highlight today. The first one we talked a little bit about actually on the previous podcast, which is the sales score diagnostic. Right. That's a way basically to measure all areas of your selling organization, from enablement, ops, strategy, pipeline, data analytics, et cetera, and really determine where are your biggest gaps. And that allows you then to fill those gaps real quickly and improve your business. And so that's a self-assessment that we run, Scott, with the client.
That sounds like there's a lot there. Do you all walk the clients through how to get all that data and put it in there, or just here's the tool and then they go do it?
Now, we certainly walk them through it. It's done internally by sales and marketing leadership typically, and then we have a readout afterwards that kind of highlights where are their biggest gaps and also where are their biggest strengths. I mean, it's nice to see areas that you're already really good at so you can continue to leverage those things. But what this diagnostic does is it makes it very clear on where the first areas you should work with Gartner on to improve your business.
The kind of a triage kind of thing. Here's where you are. Here's probably areas you need to focus on.
Exactly. So,
and is there a comparative, industry comparative, like to a benchmark kind of situation?
Good question. Yes, you can measure it against not only all the companies that have ever taken it, but you can also measure it versus companies that are in similar industries, similar size, or similar geographies as well. So very helpful in that respect. And that goes for pretty much all our diagnostics.
Okay, very good. This sounds like it might be just a good place to start an overview if you're trying to figure out, okay, where are we strong in, where are we not strong in, and then what are the things that we're not strong in do we need to fix first before we get to some of the other things to be competitive.
Exactly. And for a new client, it's typically the first thing they do with Gartner. And if you're an ongoing client, it's a nice thing to kind of rerun every 1 to 2 years, because you can determine, okay, have we truly fixed these things that we highlighted when we started with Gartner? Now, what are our biggest gaps? And so it's pretty common that we would run that on a continuous basis, I would say, with our best clients.
And then so at the output, if I find out, that we're not as strong in some areas, is there insight that we can gain from Gartner also to help us address those areas?
Exactly. So we will give you, on those big gaps in those areas, we'll give you research that kind of begins to highlight the best way to tackle those things. We'll pull in the analysts to help you fix those. And we may pull in other diagnostics that we'll talk about in a second to help you kind of tackle those areas as well.
Okay, great. Now let's talk a little bit about the seller time spent assessment. I thought that was a really interesting tool.
Yeah, I mean, sales productivity is something that keeps up every sales leader at night, right? How do I get more out of my existing sales team? And you get all kinds of qualitative feedback from your sellers on how they're wasting times on things. But in my experience, it's hard to get the quantitative data. And so that's exactly what this is. This is a diagnostic that you send out to your sales team. It takes about 45 minutes for your sellers to actually take the diagnostic. They answer a bunch of questions that Gartner provides, and it begins to determine where are your sellers spending their time. After we get that assessment back, we kind of break the assessment down to say, Here
Hmm.
are where your sellers are spending their time. That's really good. That's driving business, driving pipeline, converting business. But here are the activities they are doing that are kind of wasting their time and pulling them away actually from those value added activities. And then we work with the client to really determine, okay, these activities they're doing, are they things we can eliminate? Are they things we can replace with technology? Are they things that maybe somebody else in your organization should be doing?
Okay.
And we can actually highlight to the client how many hours per week their sellers will get back if you actually, fix those issues that I highlighted.
Okay. And so I can imagine then that there's a little bit of a way to track that back to revenue gain, right? So you could make a case for ROI if you can show the connection between the time that you get back for selling and revenue achievement.
Absolutely. And, we've had, tens of thousands of sellers actually take this assessment now. And we can pretty much say those that have our best practice and have tackled their biggest issues grow, anywhere from 1 to 6% higher per year than those that don't. So
Wow. Okay.
there's definitely a great ROI for this assessment too. Not only to do the assessment, but you got to kind of then put the things in place to make it easier for your sellers then to not get bogged down in meetings or other
Very
area
good.
value added.
And this gives us individualized information too, right? So maybe the sales manager, frontline sales manager, could take a look at his team or her team and say, "Hey, here's a person. Here's what the kind of intervention they need. Here's another person. What they need."
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like you can break it down by team. You can break it down by sales role. You can break it down, as many companies do, by high performers versus average
Right.
performers, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You can determine where are your high performers, how are they spending their time, what are they doing versus your core performers, and that's a way to actually then benchmark to try to get more folks as high performers. So
Okay.
it's really up to
Good.
the
Yeah.
client on how to split up the data.
All right. Excellent. So your A
Yeah,
players, B players, and then kind of try to bring them along. Okay.
exactly.
All right. Well, that's great. And now let's talk a little bit about the comparative sales performance diagnostic.
Yeah, so this is a diagnostic that you don't need your sellers to take. It's actually provided centrally, usually by your sales operations or enablement team. You basically give us all of your pipeline data from the recent past, say last year or two, by
Okay.
seller, and we will do the diagnostics and really look at not only who are your sellers that are doing the best, but more importantly, what are they doing that maybe you can learn from with the rest of your core performers based on your pipeline data.
Okay. So what would be an example of the output they get? Well, what kinds of things? If I'm the ops person or maybe even a frontline manager, what am I going to see?
Yeah, I mean, you'd get more details on what are your top performers doing from a pipeline perspective versus everybody else. Are they calling on bigger accounts? Are they selling
Okay.
more quickly? Are they possibly selling a better mix? With the idea of trying to really improve the core to be more like your top performers. So, relatively new assessment we launched about a year ago, Gartner, but a very popular one. Again, don't have to have your sellers take it. It's all just data you provide to
Hmm.
Gartner. We'll give you back a report and meet with you and kind of highlight what are the areas you're missing that maybe you just didn't see from glancing at your pipeline before.
So I would think that this tool then would underscore the importance for the salespeople of making sure that their CRM entries are up to date and detailed enough for this to provide useful information, useful feedback.
Absolutely. Wouldn't recommend somebody who's new in CRM or not kind of mandating good data to actually take that. There's other areas I'd probably start with first, but if you've got a pretty good pipeline and pretty good CRM data, it's great analytics and gives you some really actionable insights.
Okay. Excellent.
Mhm.
Now let's talk a little bit about the sales budget and efficiency benchmark.
Yeah, I think every sales leader is under pressure to get the most out of their selling organization. Uh, from experience here, your CFO, who's usually a partner, is always questioning, "Hey, are you spending too much on selling or not?" So, the sales budget and efficiency index is a way to benchmark all of your selling costs versus all
Hmm.
the other companies that have taken this assessment with Gartner. So that would be, what are you paying for salary? What are you paying for incentives? What are you paying on your technology costs? What are you paying for things like company cars or other areas? And you can also break it down by role, not just your outside sales, but your inside sales, your key accounts. What are you spending on sales operations, sales enablement?
Wow. Okay.
It's a very thorough analysis. And then again, like we talked about earlier, not only do you get kind of a comparison to every company that's taken it, but you can break it down by industry, you can break it out by size of company or region that the company covers, whether it's
Okay.
global or North America, et cetera. So great way to understand, are you spending too much money? Are you not spending enough? Or are there areas you're underspent and areas you're overspent, that could maybe help you move some things around over time to be more effective?
Now, I'm guessing for the frontline salespeople, the answer would be we're never spending enough, right? Always give us more money to
Yeah,
spend. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Especially in
Frontline
compensation.
salespeople, yes,
Yeah.
especially on sales incentive, exactly, which is typically the opposite of what your finance team tells you, right? So it's
Yeah.
nice to have the data to kind of show them both,
If
where it really make decisions moving forward on how you want to invest.
if you're at the upper end of that data, you want to quash it, right? If you're at the upper end of the curve, sales incentive wise, don't pay attention to it. The lower end all of a sudden becomes, yeah, we need to up it.
Yes, exactly. And the key with some of this stuff too is like there are certain really good years on your sales incentive
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain really bad ones too. You kind of want to take an average of the last 3 to 5 years to because
Okay.
that's probably what the going forward is going to be.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now let's go into the CSO personal effectiveness assessment. That's another interesting area, I think.
Yeah, so a lot of our clients are chief sales, chief revenue, chief commercial officers. All of them have been successful in their career, but all looking to continue to progress and get better. And so this is actually a self-diagnostic that the sales leader takes. Takes about 45 minutes. Gartner gives you the questions, and it really the output is basically a highlight of where you're strong as a sales leader and where you need to improve upon. And then, similar to the score diagnostic we talked at the beginning, we will actually give that sales leader the research or the analyst they should meet with to try to improve their skills over time. So it's a very valuable self-assessment that allows sales leaders to continue to improve, to not only be a better sales leader, but to hopefully move up in their organization over time.
Now I can see some maybe sales leaders being a little guarded about this kind of information. Is it simply sent to them? Is it confidential?
It's completely confidential. Assuming they want to have an analyst look at it, we'd have an analyst look at it, but it's really up to them whether they want to share this information with their boss or not.
Okay.
Most don't, I would say, but it's
Yeah.
very
Unless it's
common at
glowing,
Gartner.
right? Unless it's glowing.
Exactly, unless it's glowing, right? But we have a lot of new to role folks that sign up for Gartner. Somebody that's a new sales leader, a new revenue leader, or maybe they came from the outside, or maybe they were promoted from another function. And this is a way for those new to role folks to really get a good insight on where they need to improve quickly. And so we have a lot of new folks take it and seem to really appreciate it.
It seems like it'd be really valuable and a good way for somebody to kind of look to improve their skills without necessarily saying, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing." Right? I mean, so it's a
Exactly.
good tool to get sharper.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know,
it's interesting when you look at the sales leaders. I mean, you have certain sales leaders that kind of grew up in P&L management, and then they have to run sales, and they know the business well, but they don't know how to motivate and drive culture in areas like that. And then equally so, you have some sales leaders that grew up in sales. They know the culture and the motivation and the pipeline side. They don't have the business acumen necessarily, but they're required to do that now that they're in the C-suite. So the
got it.
readouts can be quite different based on the background of the person taking it.
That's great. Those are what is it? Five really useful tools, I think,
Yeah.
for sales leaders to use. Now, while we're on the topic, I know we're running kind of long on time here, but just real quick, when we're looking at these tools, the personal assessment aside, I'm thinking about the direct report licenses. In what situations are these more likely to have a need for a direct report license?
I would say the direct report license is really nice to have, but not necessary for any of those. But again,
Okay.
speaking from experience, again, as somebody that used the product when I was at Kimberly Clark Professional, it was nice to have the direct report licenses be able to kind of go in behind the scenes and set a lot of these things up. Okay, whether
Okay.
it was putting in all our budget numbers, getting the seller productivity, time assessment put in place, etc. it was just nice to have them be able to do that. So I would strongly encourage, those types of licenses to get these things done more quickly.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, Andy, once again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to share with us more about Gartner for Sales Leaders and how it can be useful to sales organizations. And I think this has been very helpful, not only for the students, but also shed some light on what Gartner's capable of doing for some of our sponsoring organizations. So again, thank you very much for doing that.
Thanks for having me, Scott. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Andy. Have a great day now.